Welcome to our Quick Fire Friday podcast. This is the Grow a Small Business Podcast Friday series, designed for people who need big insights in little time. In just 20 minutes each week, with no fluff, just real, proven tactics from people who know their stuff. With your hosts, Mick, AJ, and me, Rob Cameron.
Hi, this is AJ, and I'm here with the wonderful Dylan. Dylan's actually a business owner and has been designing his own life and on his terms, and I'm really, really interested to talk to Dylan today. So let's get into it. Dylan, do you mind introducing yourself?
G'day, my name is Dylan Pargiter-Green. I'm one of the founders and directors at Bold Wealth. We're a financial advice and wealth management firm. And yeah, excited to be here and talk all about that.
Brilliant. Thank you so much. What do you love about what you do?
I think, financial advice has changed a lot over the last 10, maybe 15, 20 years. And one of the probably most exciting things that, about being a financial advisor is you genuinely get to help people. You're having genuine impact on people's lives. My favorite part of what we do as advisors is sitting down with our clients, actually talking to them about the real things in life. Where are you going on holiday and how much is that going to cost? And are you stressed about paying for it? Or, is it the dream to buy that convertible Ferrari one day? And how do we get there?
Yeah.
The beautiful moments of having that direct impact on someone's life and helping them through, what is a really challenging element for a lot of people, being finance and their own money and their own wealth, helping them, I guess, do that a little bit better each and every day is what I love about doing this.
Oh, beautifully answered. Thank you so much. So probably already touched on this, but typically what does a kind of first conversation sound like with a client when you're meeting for the first time? What are some of the typical things that you touch on?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's always the boring stuff, right? Like, tell us a bit about your financial position. That's a really important thing to sort of capture at the start. But we like to ask things that are a little bit more, I guess, tangible. Get people to tell us about, some of the previous experiences they've had with money. And then when we're planning for things in the future, tell us about the things that are important to them. Tell us about the things that make them smile on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, right? Like, we want our clients to see, I guess, their wealth and their growth and their finances as something that allows them to do the things that are truly meaningful to them. So, we say to clients all the time, like, if next year when we sit down and have a review of what the last 12 months about, what's the most meaningful thing that you could possibly do, and how do we help you make that? How do we help you make that happen? Just things like that. I guess that's the first conversation piece anyway, regardless of whether it's a new client or someone I've been seeing for 10 years. We're always helping people make that connection between what they do and how they earn money and how they save and invest to actually doing something with it.
Oh, beautiful. I just had a flash. Like, I love that question about if we're sitting down here in 1 year's time, what we'll be talking about. And I'm pretty sure no one was to talk about bank statements or,
Absolutely.
super statements.
Yeah.
So, as a business owner yourself, Dylan, what inspired you to launch Bold Wealth, and how did you know it was the right time to take that leap?
So I'd been a financial advisor at that point for 8 years, I think. I sort of did all the normal pathway to wanting to work in finance, a commerce degree, and it was actually a conversation. I was managing a team of advisors. I did their reviews. I had a conversation with my director and I said, you need to have one of these meetings with me. It's important that I have goals for the year as well. And he was really blunt with me in a really great way. He said, well, what do you want? Like, what's the thing? And I took a moment and I thought about it and I said, well, long term, I want to have a sense of ownership over my client relationships, not for the purpose of having that, be something that I had more control of or anything like that, but it was so that I could, know that I was going to have those relationships for a long time. because financial advice isn't a transactional approach. It's something where hopefully, you have the same person guiding you for 10, 20, maybe even 30 years. And so ownership in that sense was that point. And that from that conversation onwards, I was very, very fortunate to have a great boss or director at that time who was working for, and we just worked out a way where I could do that, break away from the existing company in a really great way. And it was I think the inspiration came from seeing the growth in the industry and what it could mean to have that, I guess, sitting under my own brand and sitting under something that more represented me and the other two boys as well.
Beautiful. What a great boss. That's awesome.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
he's a good fella.
Yeah, I think your experience sounds a little bit unusual to me, but that's awesome. And looking at your website, which I absolutely love, it's all about being bold. What does that mean to you personally? And then in the context of financial planning for your clients, how would you describe it?
Yeah. So we have like a tagline. So obviously the business is called Bold Wealth. And we have a tagline under there, which is be better, be well, be bold. And those are the three elements of, I think a person's life, which can always, if you consider each of those sort of things, we know that we're having an impact. So, being bold as the sort of foremost of those is all about what can I do that's going to push a little bit further, a little bit challenge? What can I do that's new that I maybe wasn't doing before? And how can I continue to look at maybe stretching myself a little bit further? This is from both an internal and then a client perspective as well, in order to grow, right? So from change, from new things comes new growth. And so that be better, be well, be bold is, we always say with every single meeting that we have with a client, whether it's the first meeting or the 50th meeting, the client has to come out with some way that they feel like they're better off, that they feel like they're, nourished and they're well, and that we've helped them, we've pushed them a little bit further than we might have previously to grow and understand what their position is.
Yeah, beautiful. So take the vision, the philosophy sort of off the paper or off the website in this example, and actually how do you put it into practice? I really love that. Well done.
Yeah.
And to that, I know this will be your experience, and it's certainly been our Grow a Small Business that many small business owners, they really struggle to sometimes prioritize their personal wealth while, or their personal money while building their business. What are the most kind of common traps you see on how that can, I guess, be avoided?
I think business owners, and myself included, naturally one to focus a lot on their business and building their business and treat it as though it's the sort of number one priority, whilst forgetting that a lot of the time there is actually a reason that you get into business, and then that's generally because you see that there is a pathway to some form of output from that business, and generally that is an income or some form of future wealth generation for themselves. So what we see is people focusing too much on how to continually grow the business and forget that they're in it for rewarding themselves, and they forget to pay themselves. They forget to take the time out and work a little bit less, because owning your own business can give you the flexibility, but we all fall into that trap, and it's a matter of just saying, hey, this is for you, so take the money out from the business or take the time out from the business and actually get your reward for all your hard work that you're doing.
And not potentially wait for retirement, I guess.
Yeah, well, even then, I mean, the amount of business owners that we see waiting for retirement, and then because they haven't sort of taken care of their finances or taken care of taking something out of that business throughout, they're unprepared to the extent where they're probably financially worse off than if they had have just worked in that job somewhere else. Yes, there's been a rewarding journey, but you need to consistently reward yourself throughout that. Otherwise, you get to the end, not all businesses sell for multi-millions of dollars. Like, it's not you could put years and years and years into something, but if you don't take out of it during, you sort of run the risk of getting to the end and not having necessarily the leg to sort of stand up on.
Yeah, 1,000%. Great advice. And, obviously in your industry, Dylan, there's lots of legal legislation requirements, governance, all that stuff, as an industry. But put that aside, and creating those, I guess, roadmaps, those meaningful roadmaps for your clients, how is it different from the traditional kind of approach, or perhaps when you first started out to where you are now and your vision, how's it changed or different?
I mean, I'm quite fortunate. I think I've you know compared to some people in the industry, I've been doing this for 10 years, and compared to some in the industry, they might have had a longer journey where back in the day, you used to walk into your bank and speak to whoever the banker was, and everything was sort of linked there. Um, you know, we take a very strategic approach to everything that we do. So before we talk about finance, before we talk about investment specifics or anything like that, we always set a foundation in okay, well, why are you here? What are the things that are on your mind that are actually making you question your current position, and what is it that you want to do better, and why do you want that? So asking just those, the word holistic gets thrown around a lot, but asking those holistic questions, it makes a huge difference. I think that you can get a lot out of a client by asking some behavioral questions, and get a lot out of, I guess, what makes them tick and what makes them smile, and things. Um, that's where we sort of I think we take the technical side away from the client, because that's not what they're there for. They're not there for us to talk about, you know, which which stocks have performed well over the last 3 months. The stocks will have done that regardless of whether we have that conversation or not. What they're there for is, what does that portfolio of stocks doing well over the last 3 months mean for them in terms of what they can do with that growth and that money.
Are you a small business owner who is ready to take your professional growth to the next level? Sign up to the Grow a Small Business Weekly newsletter. This is your go-to email every Friday and will take about 2 minutes to read. Join the Grow a Small Business community who, like you, are investing in their professional development. Each week, we curate valuable resources, whether it's expert advice, books, podcasts, industry insights, or actionable strategies. We've got you covered. Leave your email at growasmallbusiness.com/weekly.
Yeah, lovely. And you said this before we hit record, which I thought was such a beautiful way to think about the people you work with. And we often talk about small business owners as this sort of homogenous group, but they're people, they're humans first,
Yeah.
with all the aches and pains, but all the visions and goals, and all the messiness in between. And I think it's for some brands, you can get sort of straight into the process before kind of stopping and pausing and asking those beautiful questions like you just said first. Talking about your clients, anonymous, of course, is there a Bold Wealth client where you have made that meaningful difference that stands out to you? Not obviously just in their finances, of course, but just in their life. Is there a story that stands out?
There's honestly, there's countless stories, and it can be talking about helping someone navigate the sale of a business that they built up for 11 years, understanding the tax consequences, understanding what they need to do to minimize that, and therefore have hundreds of thousands of dollars more at the end of that process. But it can also be sitting down with someone who for many, many years had just found finance stressful, and that they might have worked in a job where it wasn't present. A good example might be like a teacher, or an engineer, or someone who just works what we would all consider a very stable standard job, but in the background of that, they've got bank accounts everywhere, policies everywhere, superannuation all over the place. And really, all they want to be told is everything's going to be okay. We just need to move things around. And the difference that you make to those people, I think, again, something from beforehand, the conversation we were having about telling someone that they have enough money so that they can go out and have coffee every day in the morning, and that shouldn't be a financial stress, that's the most meaningful thing. I would say that, like, those conversations where I go, hey, everything's going to be okay, go out and enjoy yourself, go out and do those things. That's what makes a difference.
Yeah, I love that. Everything's going to be okay. It can also be an instant relief for someone who's maybe put their head in the sand, or maybe life's been so hectic that they haven't been able to address, or I think
Yeah.
that's
I think ironically, we're in a space in this country where, as we've sort of now had formal superannuation for about 30 years, although the first 10 years of that, not a lot of employers paid attention to it, unfortunately. But as we've had that in place, we're going to go through this sort of next 30 years of people retiring who have had a fairly decent crack at superannuation savings and aren't going to be as reliant on government pensions and things. And, more and more and more, we're seeing a considerable amount of people who retire and then don't spend enough money and then pass on a considerable amount of wealth to the next generation, which is a lovely thing to do. But it's only lovely if you're actually going and enjoying yourself during that time, because, you work all your life, you retire at 60 or 65, or maybe even slightly later than that. What good's retirement if you sat at home making Nescafe and watching whatever's on the 5 channels or however many channels we have on normal TV today?
Yes. Oh, totally. I'm a coffee drinker, so yeah, the Nescafe really triggers me. But like, I hear what you say. I hear what you say. We have a lot of listeners in in the grower small business community, just by virtue of kind of where people are in their business journey, and many of the time early in their kind of wealth or money journey. What's one bold move that they could make or think about that their future self's going to thank them for? What would be your suggestion?
So one thing that I can't stress enough, and it's not necessarily even a financial planning thing, but I would put a financial overlay to it for every small business owner, is sit down at the start of the year, look at the last year, that what you've had, look at what you think that you'll do this year, and set some targets, set some milestones, but also then set some targets and milestones based on what you've done, and then set some goals for things that you're going to do differently, things that you can do better. That is a yearly process. We actually do it at Bold every 6 months. So we get together as a team and we talk about the last 6 months. We do a end of financial year one and a new calendar year one. But we talk about the last 6 months, last year. We talk about the things that have gone really well, the pain points, the things like that. Time and time again, and business owners are very guilty of that, where you're just on this roll, you're constantly on this hamster wheel, and if you don't get off the hamster wheel and make sure that it's got oil in the right spots and all those sorts of things, eventually that wheel's going to start to crumble. So setting goals, I know it's probably a classic thing to say to a small business owner. It's a classic thing to say to anyone, but it makes such a meaningful difference. And yeah, it's what we do at Bold, and I value those times of the year probably, from a business point of view, as much as, or if not more than most of the other things that we do internally.
Yeah, good advice. And also, does that translate to like your personal goals as well? I mean, they're kind of they're hand in hand, but they're potentially different. Is
Well,
that
they are. I mean, they should be hand in hand. I think
Yep.
that's where business owners, like I was saying, like you mentioned before, business owners are just people, right? Behind every business is a person or a set of people, and anything that you do that's new, anything that you do day after day is generating, or should be ideally generating, revenue, and from that revenue there should be profit, hopefully, and that profit should lead to something that pays you and what you do. So they're intrinsically linked, right? You can't have one without the other.
So stop looking at them separately, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that, the end goal of any planning session should be that if we want to grow, the purpose of that growth is to deliver us more. And it could start with great, well, I'd like to earn X amount of money. Therefore, what does the business need to do? Therefore, what do we, what can we do to make that happen? Yeah.
And as your needs change, obviously, whether it's family or education or health or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
And so as a founder yourself, Dylan, what's been your biggest lesson in building and running a service-based business? What comes to mind?
I think there's a lot. I think that the biggest lesson is you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
I'm obviously a big planner, and something that I do for myself, I do for the business, I do for all of my clients, obviously as a financial advisor, is plan. The reality is that with all good plans, there's always something. It doesn't matter how many things you think of, you always miss. So the biggest lesson is learn from those things when they approach, deal with them quickly, embrace them, get rid of them, do those things, because there will be things that don't happen according to plan, and don't let that derail you. My fairly strong advice on that is don't let them derail you. Just embrace things that you didn't expect, and
Take a
roll
deep
with it. Yeah, take a deep breath. Yep, take a deep breath, rock, and just roll with it. They're not always going to be bad things either. I mean, we've had some, we've had some exceptional moments over the last 12, 18 months in particular, where we've just had, we've had some great growth, and that in itself is a new thing.
Challenge. Yeah.
It's a new challenge, and so that's a wonderful thing to have. Constantly, I'm saying to friends, I'm busier than I've ever been, but I'd rather be busy than bored. And so that's the way of sort of going, okay, I'm going to frame that in a way where it's obviously a great thing. And yes, I am really busy, but there is an extremely positive outcome there.
Yeah.
And we're constantly battling regulatory change and all those sorts of things.
All the stuff. Yeah.
Like it's every business has change. I think financial advice has certainly had a fairly big crack at change over the last 5 or so years.
Totally. And you're right, it's that mindset piece, and then the resilience. And I like how you said you don't know what you don't know, and that causes us to be a little bit vulnerable, and to ask the questions, and to listen to podcasts like this, and read the stuff to try to understand kind of what are the questions and where do I go with my questions. On that note, Dylan, 20 minutes is nearly up. It goes really, really quickly. It's such a pleasure to talk to you today. You're incredibly genuine and generous. What's one piece of advice you would suggest to someone listening to think about next week in regards to your philosophy or bold wealth? What would that be?
I think in general business, I'd probably go down that path, and say something someone taught me very, very early on in my career as an advisor, or even maybe before that. But the concept of like activity breeds success. So not that you have to go out and work 20 hours a day, but just do things. When people present opportunities to you, this podcast's a fantastic example. Someone introduced us.
Someone being Theo.
Someone being Theo introduced us, and like, you just say yes to things. You just go out and have coffee with people, go out, meet people, go out and do things, go to an event, go to those things, because you just never know who you're going to meet and how that's going to be transformative for you. And ask them what they do. Ask them how they do it. Like, constantly keep learning. Activity is what brings success, and the more you know, or the sort of the more you ask, the more you'll know, and the more you know, the sort of better prepared you'll be for whatever challenge comes up next.
Boom. Great advice. Thank you so much to our mutual friend Theo, and thank you so very, very much, Dylan. I wish you continued success with what you're building and the approach you're taking. It's really beautiful and refreshing, and it's been an absolute pleasure. Have a great day.
Thanks so much for having me, AJ. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Bye.
Want to help other small business owners improve their business? There's one quick thing you can do, which is jump over to iTunes and leave a review. Or if you don't have an account, follow us on Spotify.